Hello and welcome. I guess the topic that's coming out from here is motivation, which is a weird word. I hear it a lot, and it's something that I've always tried to understand better. And in a weird way, you really can get down to what motivation is. It's just a little weird to talk about. But when it's pretty clear what it is, it's kind of obvious that you don't really need it. Like, the most obvious pointer is motivation really mostly comes from one place, and that's just up here in your head. Motivation is the mind trying to affirm a certain belief or idea. It's the mind talking to itself about what should be happening instead of letting you really see clearly what is happening. Is why motivation is usually like, I have to do this, and if I do this, I'll feel better or I'll get this out of it. But that's the mind really trying to get you to stay up here thinking about everything instead of really living and experiencing directly what's happening right here, right now. You can still feel drawn even without motivation. I'm sure you felt it plenty of times where you didn't really have a reason why you were drawn to something or wanted something or were pulled towards something, but you were drawn anyway. And you didn't have to convince yourself to go in that direction or why you wanted this or why it just seemed so obvious that the most important step really is paying attention to this pull. And that's like a desire that's not being argued for, not argued in your head that you need this or that you want this or that this is good for you. It's a very natural, curious type of pull that draws you closer to what's actually important instead of what you've been told or what you believe is important. Because all that's from the mind. So, really, motivation, it's sort of the mind trying to affirm itself with more thinking. It's thinking, affirming more thinking with more logic, which is just more thinking and more thinking and more thinking. And that can stop. That's the cool thing, is that all this self-perpetual thinking can stop. You get from this place where you need validation, but that's always the mind of going, I need something outside to tell me that this is what I need, or this is what's good for me, or having this belief that this is how it should be. And the mind always trying to correct experience to what it believes the experience should be, instead of, maybe this is why a lot of teachers use the word silence. But the mind can go on, but there can still be that natural knowing, that natural silence of what's here will always be more important than what the mind wants. In a way, that's the dropping away of needing validation, where when you're so intimate with what's happening, even if what's happening includes the mind going and having its wants, you can still feel completely connected while the mind just does its thing. That's because there's no attachment to mind, and you just see the mind for what it is, just another sense organ, really. And you're not identified with it. And you're free to just really embody and envelop everything. Or even the mind and the senses aren't even separate things anymore. And everything is just one thing that you can't separate. And yet calling it one almost makes it into an object. So it's so hard to talk about anything you can say about it. You're always talking around it. You're giving shape to something that doesn't have a shape, and it's so hard to talk about. But you can definitely feel it. It feels like it's not over there. It's everywhere and here and nowhere because it doesn't have a location. It's direct that it can't be anywhere else. And now I just sound like a crazy person. I don't know how to be any clearer than that. And someone shared this. It's a really old talk, probably more than 2 decades old by now. A really old talk with Adi Ashanti, and there was a bit, and someone just pointed exactly what I'm trying to point to, and they did it so sincerely because they were just crying the entire time talking to him. And it was just so obvious that I knew exactly what he was trying to point to, and I just couldn't help but cry with him because it was just so obvious. I don't know. I hope I can share a clip, like a small snippet. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for this. But yeah, he was just talking about something that was so clear and so obvious that it just didn't need validation. There was no needing affirmation. It was just so close and so open and just completely vulnerable. And Adia's response was pretty short, but pretty lovely in itself. And he just told him, when you taste your true nature, that's it. You don't need to search for it in me anymore. I can just hold up the mirror and you can take it back whenever you want because it's nowhere else but here. And it's just so clear what they're pointing towards. And I just, you know, I'm going to share a bit of my personal life, but there are people I care about so much. And there's especially one specific person I'm thinking of right now that in a lot of pain. And honestly, there's no way I can take away someone's suffering. That's not something in my ability, but I just wish she could see this too and she didn't have to suffer so much. And a lot of the suffering is, it's so impersonal, but when you're still stuck in your head, it doesn't really get through because, I've been there too. I was at that point too. And I'm just blabbering, but it's just so painful to see, but it's not something you look away from because this thing that's so close just doesn't know how to turn away from what's being experienced. That it literally has space and room for every experience, even the ones that hurt, because there's no problem with hurting anymore. I just, when you see someone in pain like that, it's so natural to just hold space for people because there's no fear of that own pain in yourself, so there's no turning away anymore. And I wish everyone really just connect with that. It's weird to say because there's no way to disconnect from it. It's just when you're so caught up in your head, it's not clear that it's already here all the time, even when you don't know it. And now I'm just really, there's nothing to say other than just repeat myself, so I should probably stop talking now. Yeah, maybe I'll try putting a little snippet of the talk here. A really small snippet, just brief words, nowhere near the full talk. Thank you.
The thing I've realized lately is it's completely available right now. I mean, this lifetime, I don't have to put it off anymore. I don't have to get lost in drugs anymore. I don't have to get lost into the ego anymore. I don't have to do any of that anymore. That's what a guru is. Hi, while you're busy being separate, I'll hold your divinity. Since you got to put it somewhere, I'll hold it for you. Right?
All right.
And when you're ready to take it back, just take it back. Don't even ask for it. Just take it.